Hello and welcome to another episode with Grad Talks. I, Rimi Datta, welcome Sir Swarnava Mukherjee, a very esteemed guest from the batch 2018. Sir, it's a very pleasure to have you here. Sir, let's dive into the journey and experiences with you. So can you please tell a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I was here from 2014 to 18. That was my journey. I enrolled in computer science and engineering. Computers always fascinated me, and I was always a tinkerer and admirer. So it was not much of a difficult, I would say, proposition to that I faced while in the academics. It was really something that I enjoyed all the 4 years. With that being said, life has ups and downs. Academics, handling them in parallel. Bit of stress, but I enjoyed the entire journey of the 4 years that I was here. Enjoyed all the projects that we did together with all my classmates. Maybe someday we'll have an interaction with my classmates as well. But I really thank SIT for organizing this and allowing me to speak out my mind. With that being said, that's whatever I am here today because of the faculty members and the academics in the last 4 years, in those 4 years of my time. Yeah, that's it.
So what made you choose full stack?
Okay.
So what made you choose full stack?
So I started my journey as a DevOps person. So this was around 2018, and we were just very new in the cloud era. Lots of technologies, tech stacks coming up, and that was really challenging to keep in touch with all of them. However, when I joined ThoughtWorks, I was given an opportunity to do multiple, to take a look at multiple aspects, but I chose DevOps because that was very critical for DevOps or infrastructure. That was very crucial for any organization. So I started out my career as a DevOps person. Then I transitioned to full stack. Then I again specialized in front end for 3-4 years, and then now, depending on the work, I am mostly front end. But the thing is, you cannot work in silos, right? So you have to know the entire spectrum, and then you specialize in one area. And so that is how today what you're seeing me as a full stack dev, but specialized in front end for the last 3-4 years. I do infrastructure stuff because that is necessary. Yeah.
So what made you get placed in ThoughtWorks? Because from last 2015 it was coming to our college, and you were the first one to get selected.
Yeah, correct.
What extra efforts did you do to get into it?
Huge. What didn't I do? When you prepare for an organization like ThoughtWorks, you have to give your everything. ThoughtWorks wasn't the first company in our college. There were other companies, but life is a journey. So I didn't clear quite a few of them. When there was Microsoft, I was eliminated in the penultimate round. I just came back to the hotel in a sorrow mood. Then again, I came back to Siliguri when ThoughtWorks was coming in. The thing is, at that point, you don't know much about how programming happens in reality. So you have to go that extra mile. You have to be as practical as possible when you are preparing for coding interviews. And that is, I believe, what gave an edge in clearing ThoughtWorks. But that also doesn't mean you lose touch with your basics. In fact, basics are what actually allowed me to make that jump. So with ThoughtWorks, that those few things, like understanding the basics, fundamentals, but also preparing for real, modeling. Data modeling was very crucial for ThoughtWorks. So I think these few things added up and allowed me to crack that interview.
So how much DSA, how much practice is necessary for getting into any company?
Practice makes a man perfect, right? You need to practice. If you stop practicing, the way technology changes, you will forget. And every day, new technology comes in for reasons obvious. So you need to know the documentation. You need to practice them. You need to do hands-on. If you cannot do hands-on, me saying something and then in reality working on it, especially fixing bugs, that is a totally different universe, right? So in DSA you have to, data structure is just, so what the things that we do in academia is just scratching the surface. There are nth level, nth order structures that industry uses, and quite a few of these things you know, quite a few of these things you don't know. Why? Because these are very internal or private to companies, because those can be considered trade secrets. They optimize the structures in such a way, they model things in such a way in order to have an edge, a competitive edge in the market. But DSA is a very broad field, number one. Number two is, more than the structure, it's about the data modeling. It's like which model resembles close to a structure that the computer understands, but which one can be as efficiently modeled and optimized. You don't go with the optimization from day one. You first solve the problem, then you iterate. And once you iterate, then you come to a place like, okay, I started with a stack. Perhaps stack is not the right thing. I might need a queue. I'm just giving you an example. And then maybe queue is not a good thing. Like maybe I need a hybrid of something, mix and match depending on how the load is. So then you need to understand the acceleration of the incoming requests. That is in itself another thing. So all of these things in a cohesive way, then that is how data structure evolves.
Sir, anything which you would like to recommend for this freshers? A roadmap basically.
Technology changes. There's no such like in terms of technology or in terms of products, there's no such thing per se. Foundation needs to be absolutely clear. It's a must. Why am I saying this? If you see currently with the onset of AI tools, a breed of graduates, a breed of developers are using AI as a backbench. They are using it and then they are creating applications on top of it, but developers don't know end to end. Now if you don't know end to end, how do you debug?
So tech changes every day.
Tech changes every day, right? And that's the thing. So you can use AI at a certain extent, but you need to know computers.
Yeah, exactly.
If you are from computer science, you need to know computers. You need to know the hardware. When should I use a CPU? When should I use a GPU? When should I not use a GPU? When should I prefer cloud? When should I prefer private servers? When should I prefer hybrid service? What are the security models I should use? What are the security models cum libraries that I should use? So on and so forth. So for freshers, I am not that philosophical, but practical advice would be getting to know the fundamentals, but not overly relying on AI. You use AI as a tool, but getting to know the fundamentals, the hardware, up to the hardware level is very, very critical, especially in today's market. If you want to stand apart and you don't know those things, chances are any recruiter or any company would just see you as a general candidate and would just keep your resume aside. So those are differentiating factors that you must practice.
So what about AI? Will it really replace humans?
Only time will tell, but I'll be very candid with you. There is nothing intelligent about AI.
True.
Right? It's a humongous computing effort trying to make data models out of things that we never see. We humans never see. So if I say A plus B is equal to 2 and X plus Y is equal to 3, then it turns up and figures out all the A, B, X and Y models, and turns out we are not even interested in all of these stuffs. Then what was the point? So you have to be very fine-tuned. Even if you are fine-tuned, that means what? Human intelligence comes primary, right? So you should see AI, artificial intelligence tools. I use the word intelligence out of desperation, but if you use these tools, use this as an enabler, not as something like end-to-end. At the end of the day, when push comes to shove, you yourself have to figure out how to tweak it, right? So if you look at, I'll give you a very, very good example. Protein synthesis is very complicated, right? If you look at, so if you understand the structure of proteins in a human body, essentially you will able to provide medicines to cure. Now if you look at AlphaFold, it used lots of biological body of knowledge, existing literature, and then it again used lots of technologies, AI technologies, and then the marriage of the two. They were not separate stuff, right? So at the end of the day, human involvement was imperative. It's just that AI sped up the process and it gave you such combinations that you could not yourself also foresee. So AI will be there because of cheap computing power, but human involvement will not go anytime soon. It will replace, when computers came into government offices, people were just like, no, it will take our jobs. It didn't, it just made you an enabler to provide services fast. With AI, it would be the same thing, provided the context is right, the questions you put is right, the path is right. That only a human can do. Otherwise, for AI is just a bunch of inputs and outputs, right?
So, any funny incident you have faced in college?
Yeah, I remember. How can I forget that? So, it was a networking lab, and we learned how to access each other's terminals. So I was not a bad kid, right? I was a good kid. So me and my gang would go to someone else's computer, look at their terminals. The terminal contains IP numbers. So how are you doing? What are you doing? Nice. Do you need any assistance? And they were like innocent kids. So we would come back to our systems. We would SSH into that. Then we would turn reboot. And they were like, and we would do that only when they would issue some commands. So they would tell the faculties like, I issued this command, but it would reboot my system. Behind the scenes, we were the guys who did that. We didn't let that know, but the first time I believe we were letting everyone know we were the actual culprits of that. I remember there were other funny moments, but yeah, this.
So you consider yourself as a backbencher?
Yes, absolutely number one. If there's a way to break the wall and go that side, I would be the first one to do that.
So any struggle which you had in your college days?
Yes. Without struggle, lots of these things. I remember projects were not working up. I remember when there was a time to submit our final year project, I left my pen drive at home. How do you demo that? Fortunately, it was in my head, so I had to rewrite. That was the only way to do that. There were other stuff like struggles. Mostly, it was mostly in the sense of how software works. I did also have struggles. Few things, mostly in the first year. Like at that time, I was like fresh blood. I would just like give me computers. I would just like kick it. And then you come into physics class. You come into chemistry class. No offense to anybody. Like I had a hard time passing physics and chemistry in class 12. I was like, somehow this should pass. But yeah, I did it. I also remember like it was one of the, it wasn't a struggle, it was a struggle because that level of mathematics was it was a bit too difficult for me, I admit. But like, I think that was a differential equation, how you calculate the Wronskian. They had asked for a different thing and I think I thought like, I have to pass in mathematics. So I used the Wronskian way and got the answer. Turns out I passed in mathematics. So whosoever checked the exam, they didn't, this is the answer is correct, give this kid a marks. So for me struggle was something I enjoyed also, but yeah.
So talking about physics and chemistry.
Don't talk.
Was it required, like in your whole journey? Did you need it, require it, chemistry or physics, anywhere?
In hindsight, I wouldn't say in depth, with all due respect, but it is required, especially most people focus on AI, but if you look at another aspect, which is, one of the marvelous things that humans have done is quantum computing. Mm-hmm. If you look at quantum, you will need basic physics, you will need basic chemistry, because you are dealing with particles, nanoparticles, right? We look at atoms, but then how do you distill it? Maybe it's a too much for a first year grad, but I would say basic understanding is essential. May not be necessary, but again, most of the software products that you see today in the market, look at Bell Labs. They are all mathematical freaks, physics freaks. Look at Geneva. These are all PhDs in physics and chemistry, biology, maths. So the inputs that they bring to the table for computer science is like, we should accept that wholeheartedly. I think it is necessary, not to a depth, but if it piques your interest, then perhaps, again, through this platform, I request whosoever works with academia is like, give students the chance to choose their own path. And not too flexible, but again, giving them like, okay, if I am interested in physics, somehow if I can merge this with computer science or chemistry and then merge them with computer science, that would give students an edge. Not keep it rigid, but at the same time, some flexibility is required.
So what keeps you motivated?
Tea. I told you, tea.
Were you a disciplined guy? Like,
who is disciplined? Me?
Yeah.
The wrong person. Yeah, I am disciplined in the sense, if there's something that I need to do, if I do a commitment, then I'll keep that commitment.
Like, are you consistent? First day this, like a schedule?
Yeah, I do that. Now that you have a life, apart from professional life, you have to be diligent in what you do. You cannot just give excuses. But consistency may not be in the physical aspect, like you see I'm very thin, my pants don't fit, but so in terms of physical exercises I'm not consistent, I sleep much, but in terms of professional life, yes, I am. Like, if there's something that needs to be done on a regular basis or something, like I also work on open source, so if there's something that I need to work on open source as well, I Like, it's not like I do this today, I get tired, I do it. Tiredness is part of life, but that doesn't mean that I let go, because
You don't procrastinate.
I don't
basically.
procrastinate. I do. It's human behavior to do that, but I don't let that linger long.
True.
Right? I mean, I will do this someday. Happens, but then someday you have to put your feet on the ground. You have to get your hands dirty.
So then, is those online certificates and everything, are they necessary?
Depends on who is the audience. If you look at organizations who focus much more on the outside, I wouldn't say no. I would say those are not required. I'll give you a very critical example. When I was in college, yes, I saw few of my classmates, they would like go out to metros, get certificates. They would come back. Now the thing is, this is India, right? People will make business out of everything. And we are students. So students must also realize that the business value coming out of those certificates, they must be in line with my vision. 1 year, 2 year, 10 year, 100 years down the line, not 100, I'm just giving you an example. Like if this yields no result, what's the point? It may require, like, there's a difference between certificate and certification. If you have a certificate that may not yield value, again depends on who you present it to. If you have certifications, then with certification, that certification must bring value to the organization you are part of, or you are trying to be a part of, like if you are going through a job switch. So if you are looking for cloud certification or any language certification or any networking certification, they yield value not only for the certification part, but they give you so much fundamental in-depth that cracking those exams are a challenge in itself. Now once you crack that, we know, okay, this guy or this girl has done it. So in that case, there is a subtle difference having a certificate and a certification. At the end of the day, it depends on the audience on who you project that to. If they are least interested, no matter how high certification you have, you are just another bunch of folks. So you have to distinguish yourself, just like I mentioned earlier. But for freshers, I think at this point, if you do it, then do it diligently. Let's just not have it in the sense of having a participatory gift. If you are participating in a session over a course of a week, doing hands-on, then you must get your hands dirty. If you get your hands dirty and then you get a certificate in that, it's a win-win. But if you are only there, not utilizing your time but just getting that certificate, I don't think it adds value.
So talking about internships, how many did you do?
0.
So isn't it important?
I didn't do it. It may be important given the market dynamics changing. It depends, really depends. It also depends on the geography. Like even today you see Northeast is not that much in the Indian market. Very disheartening to see that. Lot of these things happening in southern and western India. Eastern and northeastern side we are not seeing this. So if there are folks from out there, then internship is a way for them to have a boost in their career. Again, this is India, there are weak labor laws, like please never go for unpaid internship, go for a paid internship. If you go to a metro, if you go to a city, there are chances that you won't be able to survive. I mean, nothing is impossible. If you want to survive, then you must have a paid internship, irrespective of where you are. And again, it depends. Like if you see that the field that I'm going is too difficult and internship is a way for me to grasp it, bring it in my control, with all fervor, please go and have that internship, take part in that. You will learn, you will get to know corporate culture as well, you will get to know how it works, how software actually works, and obviously that might give you a subtle path in having a full-time paid job in that company. or in a different company, whosoever wants to see that whether you have done internship or not. So internship depends. I mean, certain internships yield no value, but more importantly, given the amount of frauds happening, you must look at how the background of the company. Please check the background of the company before you go for a internship. Ensure that the company is good and the internship yields value. Once you are satisfied, go for it. You can add that to your resume.
So is it the market very bad now to get a job?
I wish I could have said it otherwise, but yeah, what's true is true. The market dynamics are not in the favor of software developers. The only way you have to distinguish yourself is if you are not working in silo. So for instance, I am only front end, I know front end, I don't know anything else. Bye bye. I know only back end, I don't know front end. Bye bye. I am only an infrastructure guy, I don't know anything else. No, I will only work on infrastructure. When you start off or anywhere in your career, you need to know at least how software works end to end. Then you specialize. But if you don't know, today's market is like you have to know the fundamentals. With that being said, if I go back one step to the internship part, we see this is very frequent in European and American companies or folks out there. What they do is, irrespective of your age and seniority, they take an internship somewhere else. So let's say I am a person having 20-30 years of experience, but I want to go to this company, but that is a completely different thing and they are not willing to take me full time. Then I can approach for an internship, prove that I am worth it, and they will see my merit. If they too match, then the marriage is automatic. But that also means that the companies, they are also open-minded. India is seeing that, but it's at a slow pace. So market is a bit difficult for at this point to crack. You have to have a lot of things under your belt, not just academics.
So suppose a guy or a female candidate who is not good at programming, I mean DSA. So what are the areas he or she can apply?
Anything. She can apply for anything. Like, you see, data structure has been given a momentum, positive or negative, that it's the only thing. No, it's not the only thing. There are computer science folks who are happily working on firmwares, hardwares, quantum, AI. There are also computer science folks who are working in healthcare. I myself was part of a team where we had to develop software for health systems. So I didn't know that much of a biology, right? But then you have to know bioinformatics to go to that area and then deliver software. And the data structure that you know or we know, like if you just switch fields, those things don't work. So you have to start afresh. So computer science, this is the only stream that is virtual in nature. That means you can work in any field regardless, right? With that being said, you have to keep your brains and minds and eyes, everything open to know, okay, I know this, I know a computer can do this particular hardware can do this, but when I switch fields, then I need to know that level of knowledge in that field and then retrospectively fill it out here. So your data structure modeling will play a part provided you are practical oriented. If you are too theoretical, it won't work. So you need, whatever you are doing, you need to know that. That's the thing.
So did you attend soft skills classes during college days?
I think so. I do have few certificates out there.
So it did it help in your career?
No, see, the soft skills that you do, definitely it is very important. When you are working on software, your coding skills are secondary. Your coding skills are absolutely secondary. Those who review your code, they are someone who are your seniors. That means what? The senior you go, more importance is given to reading code. More importance is given to interacting with other folks. When you interact, communication or through software, soft skills will come into the picture. And also every company has a different culture. ThoughtWorks, when I joined, ThoughtWorks I think it still stands out as the only company which has a feedback culture, positive and constructive. That I still carry this today. So that was a very good thing that I brought it into my personal life. There is no such thing as negative feedback. Either you are good at it, or if you are not good at something, then give you that amount of motivation so that you can upskill yourself. How does it happen? Soft skills. Communicate. If you cannot communicate, like if you have done something wrong or if you have done a mistake, why did you do this? I will report you. This won't work. At the end of the day, they are your colleagues. And so they also have someone to feed. So if you cannot talk properly, and when you all will go to start your professional journey, you will realize this. Maybe in the beginning you will find a bit of a resistance inside, but down the line you will see that that resistance is futile. The more I embrace communication, the more I become, talk to people, the more I understand the company culture, the easier it is for me to, the place where I am strong, like in my software, the more it is beneficial for me, faster for me for that to get noticed. If you are not, then like somebody reviewing your code and you are like a very bad character, that person will also, is a normal human being, he or she will say, I can't see that code. Although maybe you wrote the correct code, but then that was your fault, not theirs. So soft skills plays an important part, very, very crucial part.
So you are senior full stack developer, right? So what struggles or what was the journey from becoming a junior to senior?
Lots. I switched companies, but the only way for you to become, go to that ladder is by your own diligence. You have, when you are junior, so this is a standard thing in the industry. When you are a junior, you are given a task, you must fulfill that task. When you go to another higher role, you start asking questions not related to only that piece of task, but how it affects others. Higher you go, you start asking like, it will affect others, if it's so, but then how does it impact the company business? The next level you go, it's like you yourself are bringing in the problem. Like, if I start solving this, how can this impact my revenue? So you are seeing, the higher the ladder you go, the more it is towards, like, you are solving problems at every stage, but the radius is increasing. So at any level, first I started with coding, but then at every level the onus is on you for you to get noticed. You have to be proactive enough in saying that, okay, I did this, what's next? Maybe you are a junior, maybe a team meeting is happening and you see that, okay, there's a mistake somewhere, or maybe I did not you have to be proactive and say, okay, I did not understand, can you explain? And then look at your common sense, like then you say, okay, maybe if we do this and then, no, this won't yield as much value. You start getting noticed. That's the thing, that barrier you have to. And that has to be done at every stage. Once you do that, obviously it's not just an annual appraisal or an annual change of ladder. Sometimes it so happens 3 years, 4 years down the line, the person is still stuck at that stage. Why? Maybe a lot of things, but it may so happen that the person was not there and has done things enough to go to the next level. ladder. So for me, it wasn't much. I mean, my work spoke for itself, but more importantly, ethics and integrity. You will be asked to cut corners. If you are strong enough, if you are straight enough, follow the rules. You know, like if you deviate yourself from the rules, there's no one to save you. Why did you do that? If there are rules and regulations, checks and bounds, if anyone catches you, you can refer to those rules and regulations and say, okay, I did it because it was here. So ethics and integrity, you have to do that. It's a struggle. I mean, I wouldn't say you will. I will say like you might be asked to cut corners. You might be asked to say, "Karne do, review pass karwa do." Like I was there at a company when I was working there, and they just didn't review the piece of code, and then the UI was slow. Customers were like raising tickets left and right, verbal abuses left and right. ये नहीं हो रहा, flight book नहीं हो रहा, ये नहीं हो रहा. When I looked at the code, they were like, "No, you do this thing review." I said, "I wasn't there." Then I looked, like in my absence, the review was done, and there was a huge chunk of pull requests. I said, first of all, who the hell brings in so big amount of pull requests? Pull requests must be small. So I stuck to my ground. Right? I stuck to my ground. Pull request must be small. I reviewed that. Then I found out there was an error here. Obviously, there were errors other places. Then we merged them. Then we optimized that. So if you bypass certain stages in the software delivery, issues are bound to happen. If you do that, then only you can go to the higher ladder. Other than that, you cannot.
So what's the biggest bug you have encountered with?
What I haven't. There are few things I can't disclose. There was one. I can just give you a very artificial way of saying that because I can't disclose that.
Sure.
So there was this thing. A variable was being passed, and the variable was being passed had different data types at different time of the system. Not only that, the number of parameters. So whenever you write a piece of code, you write it in such a way such that it is maintainable down the line. You don't come back and change it. So you have to show your seniority there also. You write it today in such a way such that future you can modify it easily. You have to be forth-looking. So somebody did that, and they were like, the function had like 20-30 parameters. And at peak times there were hardly 4 or 5. But then the values that were being passed were so random, it was very difficult to test. Once we identified that, okay, this is the main culprit, so you have to use techniques like git blame, git bisect to know who did it at which point in time, so that you know the rationale behind the person for doing that, committing that piece of code. Then we understood that the person, he understood the business requirement differently, and the actual requirement was something different. Then we rectified it, but then we also took that an opportunity that we can actually refactor this function into breakable pieces, so that each function does few things that it is meant to do. You can test it out. So I think that, I mean, once we did that, we brought in like almost 15, 20, again I'll give you an incorrect figure. Few $1 million revenue we saved. I can't tell you the actual amount, but yeah, that was so critical for our company. That was one of the things, like I'm really proud of it. We did that, and again, it wasn't me. In software, it's never myself, it's like the team. You always have to work with your colleagues. Yeah.
So what are the pros and cons in an industry?
Culture.
Like,
culture, like you have to stay in a particular culture. But more importantly, if it doesn't suit you, it doesn't mean that you start blaming somebody else. So the blame game plays out. It's very rampant in today's industry. We also see weak labor laws. People are getting fired left and right without adequate regulations. Even if regulations are there, we in India are like, we can, figure out another way to get by. So those are one of the cons working in the software IT industry. Pros are, if you can, see, this is virtual field, right? If you can add value, you can add huge amount of value, right? If you can debug something that is very critical, the road's all yours. So those perks, the wins are very, like, I would say something that people die for. But sometimes it so happens that you must be in the level playing field with your other fellow team members. That's something I think we can do much better in this country. But again, if you go outside, then that work culture is, people realize that work culture is really plays out a very critical part, because you're spending 8-10 hours of your life every day. So it goes without saying that the time that you spend there, the place where you earn, that has to be a good place, right? If it's not a good place, what's the point?
True.
Right.
So any suggestion which you would like to give for us first semi-final year students?
Work hard.
Work hard.
Work hard, understand the basics, understand the fundamentals. I know that the academia right now is going through a phase where everything is AI and the people are like making applications out of AI. AI is just a fragment. If you don't know hardware, if you don't know software, AI won't come to save you. That also means there is a very small aspect which is not taught in academia, which is user experience. In user experience, you must be consumer centric. Consumer asks you to do this and you cannot do that. No matter how have you done it, it doesn't matter. So something I believe, if you are really into front end is saturated. People are just like doing React, Angular, Vue, Svelte, left and right, but they're not understanding the fundamentals. If you are doing UI programming, if you are into UI development, not beauty is part of it. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Remember, if it may look beautiful to you, it may look ugly to somebody, but it must deliver. It must be optimized. Optimized in the sense, I mean, you don't start prematurely optimizing that. That's, again, it's an evil in computer science. But then, for instance, I'll give you an example. If you look at government forms, 10, 11, 12 government forms are being used, when it could have been simplified. Same details are being asked once again. That's where user experience comes to play. So for folks who are just starting out, or for students, you start with the end in mind. If you are actually into creating applications, you create applications which users can use. If you are into creating projects, create projects that the user can use. Be yourself in their shoes. What if somebody who doesn't have a hand, how will that person use a phone? A person has no legs, how will the person move? What are the technologies you can use? So these are the summary. Academia is there, but expand your horizon. That's the only way for a fresher to stand out in the industry. Otherwise, everyone is using AI, everyone is ultimately doing the same thing. Yeah.
So talking about projects, how many projects did you had?
Oh, a lot. A lot. And I remember one of the projects that I'm still proud of, I did a calculator. RPN, reverse Polish notation. That was one of my first forays in knowing academics and then implementing it. So we write 2 plus 2, right? In a calculator, but 2 plus 2 is a string. How do you parse it? create a syntax tree out of it, and then find the actual value of it. So it's almost 12 years I still use that. One of the projects that I had showcased. Then before AI was there, AI was there, but I didn't have internet, access to internet. So I had written something called text to code. It's a very restrictive way you write something. It just uses regular expressions, and then it modifies it into pseudo algorithms, and then with that algorithm you can just actually use Java, C, C++. So that was one of the first things where like you speak and then you get actual output, way before AI was there. Proud of it. I did that in TechFest when I was a student. If you are interested, I have it somewhere in my pen drive, I don't know.
So you were the only one who participated in TechFest?
No.
There
were folks. I had to compete in every part of my life. So that was that was a project that I had done. Calculator was a project. Some were like, why calculator? Like, it's not the calculator, it's the RPN, reverse Polish notation, that you have to figure out. There were other stuff. I had created a website called Insight Research. It was in PHP. So it worked as a hub for you to upload your software. People can download it. Sounds easy, but when you work with PHP, Apache and all the archaic technologies, you come to embrace it. You will love that. So I had, like, these were some of the projects that I were very close to my heart. And I had, every time there was a recruiter, like, we were asked to show projects, and I was like, take whichever you want. I was like, Lelo.
So sir, having a project is necessary?
I wouldn't say necessary, but gives you an advantage. But more than an advantage, clears your brain out.
Concepts.
It clears your, like, if you are creating a calculator today, it's easier said than done. Try and do it. Once you are done, so many parts of data structure you will get to know, like when to use a stack, when to use a queue, how do I parse it in a string, or should I store it in a string, or should I store it in an object? How do I optimize that object? How do I allocate memory for that object? Oh, now I am seeing my memory is 20 megabytes. I have to bring it to somewhere around few kilobytes. You have to do a lot of thought processes to do that. Once you do that, something you are proud of, you can demo. That person can also say, okay, this person has done something. Maybe let me ask, we know that you are freshers, we will ask you few questions. Okay, we can absorb this person, we can rely on. So look at it, it gives you an advantage. It's not necessary, it gives you an advantage. There were so many, like, I remember at my peak I had like 12, 13 projects under my belt, and the TPO, he was like, what's your name? I said, my name is there, projects are here. And it was like 2-3 pages. Dude, nobody see that. Okay, I went back to the cafe and I printed it both sides. Then he said, no, you have to print it one side. I said, okay. Then again I shrunk the front font of this thing. I said, I fit it in one page. And he was like, no, don't fit it in one page. We don't want that. We want it to be good. So those are some of another funny moments that I just recollected.
Sure. Please tell.
These were some of the things, like, there was one where I was like giving a demo and the text to code didn't work. So I said, maybe the laptop is not working. Anyways, I can come up with excuse because I did not own a laptop. I did not have that money. So there was another guy, I said, sir, his laptop is not working. And he took it seriously. Laptop is not working. Dude, 1 minute. तू एक काम कर, तू उसका लैपटॉप ले. Okay, so he gave me someone else's laptop and it's not. I know inside it's my code that's not working. And I want to stall time. So he was like, okay, now Java in his system, that also not working. Sir, so he said, like, why isn't it working? I said, sir, I think the memory capacity is beyond what my software works. I can confidently tell you this works. I think the laptop has something like this. It's not giving me, something is running in the background. I was like, okay. I'll give you that points. So fine. But then I realized the mistake that I did was I developed it on Windows. Windows is case insensitive. Linux is case sensitive. And this guy, he was a computer freak, but I freaked him out. When I told his system was not working, he was using Linux. And I was using 32-bit software on Windows, and I was like, the file was supposed to be there. So it wasn't able to load the file at runtime. That's why it was there. But you have to give me credit. My soft skills, like I was like, his system was not working. You have to navigate. So this is like, this was really a funny thing. Don't try this. Only professionals. Don't try this at home. But on a serious note, like if there are any challenges, enjoy it. Not that something should harm somebody, but you should enjoy it. You should know it, and then tactfully you should like how to as early as possible resolve that. That's it. Next.
So your favorite language?
Mother tongue or
Computer language.
Java. JavaScript. No.
C.
I am currently actually working on a project on C++. CBT, C++ build tool. But that is out of my respect for that language. For me, languages are just a means to an end. Java is there, C++ is there. You have languages like standard ML, Haskell. These are some of the languages that I work in. TypeScript. With all due respect, I don't like Python. So please don't throw tomatoes at me. These are the things. But if you do work on Java, you need to know the nuances of Java. It's very easier said than done. Any language. Because syntax is one thing, actual industry usage is completely different. You're like, dude, you can do this also. There was a guy who was so confident, he said, yeah, Java has pointers. And the interviewer was like, I'm taking a Java interview, not a C++ interview. No sir, I know Java has pointers. Prove it. He said he wrote a class pointer. A, B, sir, pointer. And he was like, dude, this is a lame excuse. Why would you do that, sir? I never said it's a raw pointer. I said it's an object pointer. So that was another level like where people can do anything to pass. But if the interviewer, this was a very silly thing, but the interviewer caught it. And it's not that. It's the candidate was at fault here. He did not know. He was just like, I can pass the Viva exam. If you do that in an interview, you'll never get that job. So yeah, these are Java, standard ML, Haskell, TypeScript, C++. Goes on.
Any questions from you guys?
Sir, for final year students?
Yes, sir, for final year students.
Final year students what? Don't give exams?
We are just few months, we are also be alumni. So, any suggestions?
Ruko zara.
So for that, like for suggestions for first final years, for the placement and everything.
Wherever placements happen, be it in Siliguri or be it in Kolkata or be it any off campus, please do not take it lightly. Please never take it lightly. Whatever, think of it that that's the only option you have. If you cannot, then no one else will come to feed you up. Wherever, irrespective of the geography, try to be there. Give your best. Think that that is the only thing in your pocket. You don't have any other opportunity. That is my only opportunity. Take that, number one. Number two, projects. Provided you love it. If you don't love it, don't fret over it. You will waste your time. you can use it on somewhere else. Don't be overwhelmed with AI. If you are actually interested in AI, learn the mathematics of it, learn the basic of it. I don't know whether you have Prolog or you don't have Prolog. So we had Prolog. Prolog was a language, Prolog and Lisp were languages. Lisp was not taught, but Prolog was taught when we were there. I mean, it was one of the fundamentals for artificial intelligence, because that gave you a window into how to structure your code. And at the same time, it gave you a way to know, okay, these are other possibilities. AI is what? Possibility that you don't know that it will spit out. So if I have two arrays and one aspect is missing, one of them is missing, you just feed it into, and it will give you, okay, these are the possible combinations that can come out of it. Which is what? In a very blunt fashion, that is AI, artificial. So if you may not have that in your academics, but try to learn Prolog, try to learn Lisp. These are also some aspects. Foundation, like having a very good attitude in front of the recruiter is also important. I am a 4th year student, I am a senior, ho jayega. That's, interviewers are also senior than you, right? So they will know. Any other questions?
Bhaskar, your question.
AI is already bigger. I think quantum.
So before it was robots, now it's AI. What do you think is going to be the next big thing?
Quantum. I think it's quantum, but then again, in software it's like full circle. It gets so complicated, people will like, keep it there, let's come back to our fundamentals. Let's come back to the roots. Let's keep things very basic. Let's see where it goes. So life comes full circle in those
Rapid
cases.
fire round.
But if you were to say, quantum is one of the aspects.
Sir, one more. So you were passed out before COVID. So you have seen the offline also placements plus online also. So which one is better from your point of view? And along with that, we can go for like nowadays the remote jobs. We have seen a surge also in the remote job. So for a fresher, will it a remote job is better or an in-office job is better?
It depends on the company culture. If a company is candid enough, is confident enough that okay, the person, whoever is a fresher, I can give him or her a task and I can get an output. Doesn't matter, remote or office. But I think remote works only to an extent, because at the end of the day we are human beings, right? So having face-to-face conversations are important. Now if there are situations in your family or in your at home or wherever you stay where it is imperative that you have a remote, please make it open to the recruiter. But I think having regular interactions with employees, physical interaction with employees in office, very must. If you don't have that, you will never understand the pace. Like you are always in Zoom or Google Meet or Teams, but you will never, like, if the person is making a mistake, maybe the person is more preferable using hands on the board. We have seen our seniors. In that case, having physical interaction is much better. Because anyone can come in, I'll tell you this one out of my experience, anyone can come to the board and interact. But with software, what happens, you have a digital board and then you change your screen and then you don't know the expression of this person. Again, most of these people are like, they don't turn on their cameras for whatever reasons. So how do I know whom I am talking to? Then instead of having a Google Meet or a Zoom call, have normal conference calls, right? There was a time when there was normal conference calls, go for it, but that doesn't cut it. So it's a balance, but I think for understanding, getting to know each other, office is, if you have hybrid policies, opt for it in an initial. And then I think once you are senior enough, locations doesn't matter. Then you are, because you are on your own, you know your responsibilities. So there's no one to spoon feed you. But as you start out, I think that because it's expected out of junior not to look at a business from day one. If you do it, is fine. But they have their own thing in their head, like, okay, I have to provide knowledge transfer sessions. I have to tell this person how to work. It's better to have that in person.
Different stages in how the journey. So at this other discuss question आपने advertising के साथ काज करते हैं माने क्यों product search करते same माने बाड़ी तारो जो device गुलो अच्छे मुद्दे जो ad আছে सर उनका take tag की नाम से customer side तो भी interesting है
So I currently work at Nielsen, and the team that I work at is called NMC, Nielsen Marketing Cloud. It's one of the few teams that does advertisement at a very granular level. I can't disclose how it works. What I can tell you is like we have this software by which we know, okay, if you are on your phone and you are connected to a same hotspot, and then from there you go to a computer on your home, or let's say your partner or your family members use that. We try our best. I can't disclose that algorithm either, but we know that okay, maybe the person who is looking at the TV is the actual person who was looking at the same ad from that phone. So what we will do is we will give you a continuum. What is continuum? Continuum means you are here and then you can go there. So Apple had a different take on continuum, where like you can copy on an Mac and then paste it on iPhone and vice versa. So continuum means beyond the boundary of physics, QUE, not physics. So we know which device you are on, and then we can show you granular ads. So let's say you are looking at your phone and then okay, your work is done, and then you are there on a TV or you are on a computer set and you are doing some other work or you want to enjoy. Whosoever wants to target you will know, okay, this is the same person and will show you only relevant ads. It won't show you irrelevant ads. If you look at ads, let's say you are looking at foods, so you will be shown, so there is always a delta error. There is an epsilon bound that we have to know, okay, there maybe the software can make mistakes. If it does a mistake, it will rectify it. So this is what we do actually, and at this time we are at a core team. There are a lot of microservices out there that we take care of, and it's a very interdependent orchestration work of play. Tough, but once you crack it, yeah, you know your audience. That's why audience measurement is part of Nielsen. We know, okay, who looks at where. Lots of companies also come to Nielsen to gather audience insights. So that's what we do. Any other questions?
Sir, I think about the next big thing I take is quantum computer.
Wait, ये वाला part में ना मेरे को काट देना ठीक है?
Can we work on?
Yeah. Obviously, you can do that, but you can do it at two levels. One is if you are using companies who expose quantum APIs, Qiskit, IBM. These are like really the vanguards of consumer quantum usage. That's fine to an extent, like from a software point of view, you can use that, you can create applications just like you are using AI. The other thing is you can extend your education, you can go to a master's in a specific field, and then from there are other job opportunities specifically for quantum. That's the thing.
So we'll move to the rapid fire round now.
Okay.
So you code on morning, day or night? Which you prefer?
Night.
Front end or back end?
Both.
So then, I know you're full stack developer, but still, which would you prefer?
Front end.
Sir, a dream company you wanted to work on?
No, none. Whatever pays my bills. But they are all same at the end of the
If
day.
you would get a opportunity to have a dinner with a tech legend, who would it be?
Jokes aside, no. There are few things that for which I am not into that person. I don't know. Maybe like the founder of Zoho, what was his name? I forgot. Sridhar Vembu or something. He was like who started it from scratch actually. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. It's not publicly listed. It's private company. So maybe like someday. But then again, like my role model is myself. I don't look up. Next.
So,
Oh, this was it. Ask some more.
So then, like, if you had an opportunity to relieve one day from your college life, which one would it be?
A reboot.
really as in?
Using someone's computer IP and then RMRF style. But I really enjoyed the EC, the hardware. I forgot this thing. Computer architecture. I think the 80 where you used to do that. So I don't know whether you. I think you do that.
Yes,
Did we had?
Did you do bubble sort in assembly?
No.
Yeah, I did that. Actually, 800 turned into a bubble. Like it was like bubbling. Seriously, we did that. We did bubble sort actual assembly. Like actual at the level we said 5 numbers. Don't go to 10 because there was no memory. Implement bubble sort. Bubble sort was ON square. Boom. And it was tuck, 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 tuck. We finally solved it. That also sorting, there is no user interface. Like so you have to press the next button, next button. You are seeing binary numbers. Right? That's one. I really loved it. Yeah, the hardware also, IC 74181. You use that? You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Beautiful. No. The thing is, this thing with IC 14781, I created a. Do you use Logisim? Any one of you? Logisim? You use VHDL?
Yes, sir.
So if VHDL is too much for you, you can use something called Logisim. It's written in Java. I don't know the status if it is maintained or not. You can actually. So what I did was I think Onindo sir was there back then. So I had asked for him the schematics of 74181. What are all the operations? I think there were 32 or 64 operations it could do. So I re-implemented that in Logisim, and then I wrote the other pieces of hardware, and I actually created an 8-bit processor. Talking about that, 8-bit processor was also one of my projects in my resume, but there were no hardware companies back then. Right, Qualcomm was there, but they were mostly on the HR side, like they were looking at different folks. So I have that under my belt. I still have these things. I don't know whether the soldering works or not right now in my home, but I had created that. I was really proud of it. We had created that. Anything else?
So have you interviewed like?
Yeah. I have interviewed. When we do an interview, first of all, you are promoting the company. Right, and if the person is, irrespective of whether the person is selected or not selected, you never leave a bad taste in that person's mouth. That okay, no, you are not selected, because he or she will spread it out, right, and then it will come to haunt you. Like the company wasn't bad, the interview was, right? So you have to be in certain rules and regulations. You have to ask certain set of questions, but then that also doesn't mean that you are very rigid. You have to look at other aspects. I can't discuss those, but there are, like, depending on what the position is, the seniority of the role is, you also have to maybe sometimes unlearn yourself. You have to ask questions from a different point of view. But yeah, when we do that, there are a lot of parameters, because imagine this, if that person is selected, it's the world for this guy or girl. So if you make a wrong step, then the person who was holding on to hope, it's lost.
True.
But at the same time, you cannot have a bad hire in your company, because a bad hire will ruin the culture. So it's a fine balance you have to do. I think.
So ThoughtWorks, you got it in the first company was ThoughtWorks, or like?
I got in 2 companies, ThoughtWorks and Bosch.
Bosch.
Yeah.
So now, ThoughtWorks was the first one. You cracked it in the first interview, or like first campus name was ThoughtWorks, or like?
Campus.
So, first company which came.
Oh no, first company was Intel or McAfee. I think McAfee.
So
I
it was
forgot.
after 2-3 companies.
Then there was Bosch. We had to go to Sikkim, SMIT. Then there was Vartusa. Vartusa I think was the first one. Then there was another 2-3 companies there. It was there. Then there was Microsoft. Microsoft said CSS position. I was like, yeah, front end. Then they were like customer service specialist. I was like, dude.
So you also can't disclose something. You will disclose it after.
So, but like the person was like, are you sure you want to join? Because it didn't match. The profiles didn't match. I was more into tech and they were more into customer support. Pay was good. Considering 2017-18, pay was good. I was at Kolkata. It didn't happen, but at that point I was so fed up. I was like, give me anything. I need to earn. So it didn't happen. Then I came back home and I was like, my mother was expecting like, was it there? I was like, no. And she was like, okay, theek hai. Better luck next time. Then I think that was ThoughtWorks. ThoughtWorks was 3 days exam. 3 days exam. First day was normal, this thing. 2 rounds on first day. Second day was an interview round. We got to know the result on the third day in the morning that there were 7 candidates, 7 got selected. Out of 600, I think. The ThoughtWorks was that, yeah. Anything else?
Sir, thank you so much, sir. It's been great having you.
Thank you for
So
having
this is
me.
the first time our club is organizing an offline podcast.
That's why like I was asking for virtual and they were like, no, have offline. I was the scapegoat. Nice. But it's good to have physical interaction with folks. If the faculties are there, tell them anything for college. I want to put SIT on the global scale with whatever limited capacity. I still have the SIT t-shirt that I wear at home. The problem is anyone who sees that they see I wear the same shirt every day. The problem is I have 2 shirts. I leave one, I wear another. And they were like, no. So I said, I have to have better user experience out there. So what I did was one day I put a red color out here so people know, okay, I'm changing shirts. But I use that and go to the markets and they were like, abhi bhi college mein ho. I was like, kya kare, chhodte nahi. The backlog backlog theory was after 7 years also. But whatever, like in any capacity, if I can be a part of this college, proud moment for me. Like wherever I am today, thanks to SIT, thanks to the academia, thanks to the faculties. Today I am here.